The 2026 NBA draft is officially less than a month away, and now that the NBA draft withdrawal deadline has passed, we finally know exactly who is staying in the NBA draft and who is heading back to college. So in today's video, I'm breaking down my first official 2-round mock draft for the 2026 NBA draft. So let's jump into it. And starting with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select AJ Dybantsa from BYU, and this is the pick that just makes the most sense to me. Now, there are real arguments for both Cameron Boozer and Darryn Peterson at this spot, but Dybantsa is the biggest superstar swing that we have in this class. He is a 6'9" forward that's explosive, extremely fluid, and has already showcased NBA-level shot creation ability. And last season, he led the country as a freshman with 25.5 points per game, and for Washington, Dybantsa gives them the face of the franchise they have been looking for. And with the second pick, the Utah Jazz select Darryn Peterson from Kansas, and from a pure talent standpoint, Peterson has a real argument to go number 1 in this draft. He is smooth, controlled, and has the size, handle, and shot-making ability to become an elite guard at the NBA level. At Kansas, he showed he could play both on or off the ball, defend with a 6'10" wingspan, and scale into different roles. And the concern is going to be his durability after missing 11 of 35 games in his freshman season with the Jayhawks. But for Utah, with veteran talent and young pieces already in place, Peterson can ease into his role and solidify his spot in the starting lineup. Up next with the third pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Cameron Boozer from Duke, and Boozer might be the most polished player that we have in this draft class. He showed that he can score in the post, hit 40% of his threes, handle as a point forward, and adjust to whatever the defense gives him on the offensive end, and that led to a 35-win season with Duke and National Player of the Year honors for Boozer. But the question is whether he is athletic enough defensively at the NBA level. But next to Zach Edey in Memphis, that concern is minimized, and for the Grizzlies, Boozer would give them a skilled forward that knows how to win, has elite toughness, and star-level upside. With the fourth pick, the Chicago Bulls select Caleb Wilson from North Carolina, and if we are talking about pure tools, Wilson might be the best athlete that we have in this entire draft. He is 6'9", explosive above the rim, has the ability to finish through contact, and can erase shots defensively when he is locked in, and that type of front court upside is exactly what the Bulls need in my opinion, but he is not a for sure thing. The jumper is still inconsistent, and his off-ball defense at North Carolina had some rough moments, but still, if his shot develops, Wilson has legitimate franchise player upside. And next with the fifth pick, the Los Angeles Clippers select Brayden Burries from Arizona, and this is where things start to get different in this mock, but this is one of my favorite fits in the lottery actually. Burries is a powerful guard at 215 pounds, which makes him much stronger than most guards that we have in this range, and that matters because next to Darius Garland, Burries would show that he could defend, rebound, and bring physicality to that backcourt, but he is not just a bruiser. He can score with craft, manipulation, and touch on the offensive end, and after a slow start to his freshman season at Arizona, he exploded in conference play and helped lead the Wildcats to the Final Four. With the sixth pick, the Brooklyn Nets select Mikel Brown Jr. from Louisville, and this is where Brooklyn should be chasing ceiling over safety. Brown's season definitely had inconsistency and a back injury, so I understand the risk here, but the flashes that he showed are special. He is a 6'5" lead guard who can shoot from deep, attack the rim, and create for teammates with real creativity. His shot selection and risk-taking can get wild at times, but that confidence is also a part of the appeal to me. And for a Nets team that's still searching for a franchise engine, Brown is worth the swing at number 6. And next, with the seventh pick, the Sacramento Kings select Darius Acuff Jr. from Arkansas, and this fit has been talked about a lot for a reason. Sacramento needs a young point guard to build around, and Acuff brings exactly that. He is a wiry scorer with a quick trigger, slippery handle, and advanced feel for manipulating defenses, and the best part is that he improved as a passer and played with more off-ball effort than expected. The concern, though, is definitely his defense because he is undersized and struggled on that end of the floor during college play. But offensively, Acuff would give Sacramento a new identity and someone to build around. With the 8th pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Kingston Flemings from Houston. And while Flemings is not Trae Young, this could still be Atlanta's attempt to find its next lead guard after trading Young. Flemings is a natural live dribble passer, a confident pull-up shooter, especially from the mid-range, and a twitchy athlete athlete who can pressure the ball defensively, and that last part is what separates him from a lot of other smaller guards in this class. He still needs to increase his three-point volume though, especially if the offense continues to run through Jalen Johnson for the Hawks, but the shooting indicators that he showed at Houston are strong, and he really helped himself at the Combine. And with the 9th pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Keaton Wagler from Illinois, and if Wagler is available here at 9, you have to pick him if you're Dallas, and this would be a fascinating pick next to Cooper Flagg in my opinion. Dallas does not control its own first-round pick again until 2031, so this selection really matters, and Wagler came into Illinois without massive one-and-done expectations, but quickly became the engine of a Final Four offense. He wins with feel, craft, high-level shooting, and decision-making, but the question is his athleticism because he is not a traditional burst guard. But next to Kyrie Irving for now and Flagg for the long term, Wagler could become the Mavs point guard of the future. Rounding out the top 10 with the 10th pick, the Milwaukee Bucks select Nate Ament from Tennessee, and I've seen this in a ton of mocks, but I'm starting to believe that this is the type of swing Milwaukee needs to take here. Whether Giannis Antetokounmpo is a part of the future or not, the Bucks need upside, and Ament brings just that. He is a 6'10" forward that showcased shooting, ball handling, flashes of passing, and mismatch potential, although his freshman season was definitely inconsistent, especially early on, but then he averaged nearly 24 points over a 6-game stretch and reminded everyone why he was viewed as a top 5 talent coming into the year. However, he did suffer an ankle injury and tournament struggles, which create some risk for him, but if Ament hits, Milwaukee could look brilliant with taking him here. With the 11th pick, the Golden State Warriors select Aday Mara from Michigan, and if Mara is somehow available here at number 11, Golden State cannot overthink it. The league is getting bigger again, and the Warriors have a clear frontcourt problem with Draymond Green aging and Kristaps Porzingis possibly leaving in free agency. Mara measured 7'3" without shoes, 260 pounds, with a 7'6" wingspan and a 9'9" standing reach. He reads the floor, finishes with both hands, and protects the rim with elite timing for a center, and the shooting and perimeter defense are definitely concerns, but the size is special and too good to pass up on. And next, with the 12th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Hannes Steinbach from Washington, and this one makes a lot of sense if OKC has to start managing the money around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams. Isaiah Hartenstein's contract could become expensive as well, so he's possibly gone, and Steinbach gives them a possible replacement there. He is already an elite rebounder, plays with force, finishes around the rim, and flashes enough touch to keep defenses honest, and the Thunder do not need him to become a star right away. They need affordable size, toughness, and rotation level production, and Steinbach brings just that. But at number 13, the Miami Heat select Dalen Swain from Texas, and this feels like a classic Miami Heat type of swing here. Swain became one of the most efficient isolation scorers in the country at Texas, using his strength, creativity, and relentless rim pressure to punish defenders. He also has the tools to become a switchable defensive wing, but the issue is his jumper. The mechanics are stiff, the percentages are bad, and teams are going to dare him to shoot until he proves otherwise. But Miami has developed shooting before, and if the Heat fix that part of this game, Swain could become a steal here at number 13. And closing out the lottery with the 14th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Yaxel Lendeborg from Michigan, and Lendeborg has one of the best come-ups in this draft. He went from JUCO to UAB, then to Michigan, and won a national championship with the Wolverines this past season, and he kept getting better every step of the way. He comes in at 240 pounds with a 7'4" wingspan and showed a real handle for a forward, and also can defend, pass, rebound, and play multiple positions at the next level. But the biggest concern coming into the draft is his age, because he will be 24 years old as a rookie, but Charlotte needs depth at the forward spot, and he brings toughness and two-way versatility, and Lendeborg would be a great fit there with their young core. Next, with the 15th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Cameron Carr from Baylor, and after taking Caleb Wilson earlier in this mock, Chicago now adds a wing who fits perfectly next to its young core. Carr led Baylor in scoring, shot nearly 40% from 3 on real volume, and has the athletic traits teams love. He also helped himself a lot at the combine, including a 30-point scrimmage performance and a 42.5-inch max vertical. The biggest concern with Carr is going to be his strength because he comes in at only 184 pounds, and the NBA physicality could hit him quickly, but athletic wings who shoot like this usually rise, and Carr's stock is clearly trending upward right now. Next, with the 16th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select LeBaron Philon from Alabama, and after taking Cameron Boozer at the number 3 spot in this mock, Memphis can now start preparing for life after Ja Morant. Philon is a shifty, score-first type of point guard who made a major leap as a sophomore with the Crimson Tide. He doubled his scoring, got to his floater, improved as an overall shooter, and showed a better feel as running an offense. The concern, though, is going to be his size and athleticism, as he is under 180 pounds and not an above-the-rim type of guard, but his perimeter skill is real, and Memphis needs another young creator to build around, and Philon seems like just that here at number 16. With the 17th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Jayden Quaintance from Kentucky, and this is a major upside swing if it hits. Quaintance has a 7'5" wingspan, has shown elite mobility, real defensive instincts, and the tools to become an all-defensive level big. The problem is the medical side for Quaintance, though. He played only 4 games at Kentucky after a major knee injury, and teams still need to be comfortable with the long-term outlook of him, but OKC has enough guards and enough depth to take a patient swing here, and if Quaintance gets healthy, this could become one of the best value picks in this draft. And with the 18th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select Morez Johnson Jr. from Michigan, and after taking his teammate Yaxel Lendeborg earlier in this mock, Charlotte doubles down on the Michigan frontcourt that just won a national championship, and Johnson feels like one of the safer players on the board in this range. He brings energy, defense, rebounding, switchability, and enough athleticism to make an immediate impact at the next level. And at the draft combine, he measured better than expected, tested well athletically, and even looked comfortable shooting in drills. And now he may not be a star scorer, but his defensive role and physical tools should translate quickly to the NBA. Next, with the 19th pick, the Toronto Raptors select Bennett Sturts from Iowa, and this is a clear needs-based pick here for the Raptors. Toronto needed more point guard help and center depth after its playoff loss, and here they address the guard spot. Sturts is not the most explosive player by any means, but he sees the game at a different speed. He transferred from Drake to Iowa this past season and kept producing with deep shooting, high-level passing, and elite decision-making. The question, though, is whether he can handle the athleticism of the NBA, but as a floor general and an off-ball connector, Sturts fits what Toronto needs right now and should pair well with Scottie Barnes either on or off the ball. And rounding out the top 20 with the 20th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Chris Sinak Jr. from Houston, and this is the type of frontcourt swing San Antonio can afford to make because Victor Wembanyama makes almost every big man pairing possible for the Spurs. Sinak looks the part physically. He is athletic, mobile, long, and comfortable on the perimeter, but the issue is that Houston needed him to be tougher, more efficient, and less foul prone in their forward position. He also has to find his offensive identity, but the tools are obvious that Sinak brings, and if developed correctly, Sinak could become a big 4, an athletic 5, or a long-term frontcourt partner for Victor Wembanyama. And with the 21st pick, the Detroit Pistons select Christian Anderson from Texas Tech, and Detroit is always looking for more spacing, more scoring, and more guards who can create advantages and help Cade Cunningham, and Anderson actually might be the best shooter at the guard spot in this draft. He can get red hot off movement, off the dribble, or in pick and roll situations, and he is also a crafty decision maker who understands how to read the floor. The question, though, is his size and how much creation translates against NBA level defenders, but next to Cade Cunningham and Detroit's young core, Anderson's shot-making ability would be extremely valuable. Up next with the 22nd pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select Kareem Lopez from the NBL, and with Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe now anchoring the young backcourt there in Philadelphia, the 76ers need younger frontcourt depth around Joel Embiid, and Lopez is the best Mexican prospect prospect ever, it seems, and he already looks like an NBA body at 6'8" and 220 pounds. He defends multiple positions, moves well without the ball, handles enough to connect plays, and has a developing jumper. However, the shot can run hot or cold at times, and he lacks elite bursts, but as a winning role player, Lopez makes a lot of sense here. And with the 23rd pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Henry Vassar from North Carolina, and after taking Kingston Flemings earlier in the top 10 of this mock, Atlanta adds a big who could fit next to or behind Onyeka Okongwu with Vassar. And Vassar is agile, skilled, and comfortable playing on the perimeter. He can shoot, pass, set screens, catch lobs, protect the rim, and make the right play as a help defender. And his frame is still a concern because stronger NBA bigs can move him around, but his shooting opens up lineup flexibility with Jalen Johnson and Okongwu. And Vassar's steady year-to-year growth makes him really intriguing to me here, and I think he'd be a great pickup for the Hawks. But with the 24th pick, the New York Knicks select Luigi Suigo from Italy, and this is the type of prospect who may not be locked into every first-round mock just yet, but he could rise by draft night, and I think he's firmly here at the tail end of the first. Suigo is nearly 7'3" barefoot with a 9'6" standing reach, and he has perimeter skill that makes him incredibly interesting as a center. He could shoot, pass on the move, finish lobs, and protect the paint, and although he's not a true self-creator, the Knicks could use his size and skill, and that combo is worth betting on to me. With the 25th pick, the Los Angeles Lakers select Allen Graves from Santa Clara, and Graves decided to stay in the NBA draft, and I still have him ending up here in the first round. And the Lakers need both frontcourt help and wing depth, so Graves is an interesting upside play here. He was once a point guard before a late growth spurt, and those guard skills are still visible with his 6'8" frame. He came off the bench as a redshirt freshman for Santa Clara, but quietly became one of the most efficient producers in all of college basketball. The analytics love him, and his overall feel for the game is real, and I think he can make an interesting fit here for the Lakers. And up next with the 26th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Abuka Okori from Stanford, and Denver still needs more offensive variety around Nikola Jokic, and Okori gives them a different type of creator. He is a 6'2" guard with one of the quickest first steps in this entire draft class. He also has a tight handle and a special feel for attacking defenders. He led the ACC in scoring as a freshman, had 8 30-point games with Stanford, and stayed in the draft after a surprise one-and-done season. But the questions are definitely his size and playmaking balance at the next level. But as a scoring guard, Okori has real first-round talent to me. With the 27th pick, the Boston Celtics select Joshua Jefferson from Iowa State, and for a team that could be making roster changes like the Celtics, Jefferson gives Boston a playable, versatile role player who can immediately contribute. He is 6'9", 240 pounds, tough around the rim, also smart defensively, and a much improved passer. His three-point shooting also took a jump to around 34.5%, but he still needs to become a more reliable shooter from deep to fully unlock his game. Some teams may chase younger upside here, but Jefferson brings feel, adaptability, defensive, and connective skill, and on a contender like the Celtics, that type of player should have some real value. And then with the 28th pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Isaiah Evans from Duke, and Minnesota needs more guard and wing depth, especially with the injuries and free agency questions in their backcourt, and Evans would give them a legitimate shooter with size. He averaged 15 points in his second season at Duke. He did it on high volume three-point shooting and has the length to play either the 2 or the 3 at the next level. However, he is still thin and very perimeter oriented, so he needs to add strength and more creation layers to his game. But next to Anthony Edwards, Minnesota does not need a primary creator. It needs additional shooting and secondary scoring, and I think Evans could bring just that. And next with the 29th pick, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Koa Peat from Arizona, and after Koa Peat decided to stay in the draft, I think this would be a great late first round swing on toughness for the Cavs. Cleveland made the conference finals, but after getting swept by the Knicks, it still feels like this roster needs more physicality. And although Pete is undersized, he is powerful, relentless, and difficult to keep away from his spots. He opened the season with 30 points against the defending national champion Florida Gators and helped Arizona reach the Final Four this season. And although the jumper is his biggest question mark, especially after a rough combine shooting showing, he still has the ability to hit mid-range, and if he can get to spot-up threes and start start hitting those, he would fit anywhere in the league. In rounding out the first round with the 30th and final pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Meleek Thomas from Arkansas, and Meleek also decided to stay in the draft, and for Dallas, that would mean they would be adding another long-term guard option around Cooper Flagg. Thomas averaged 15.5 points, 4 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.5 steals alongside Darius Acuff, so he showed that he can play alongside a star like Cooper Flagg. He also shot 41.5% from 3, which immediately makes him interesting as a first-round option to me. And Thomas overall has deep range, a quick release on his shot, and enough off-the-bounce creation to punish defenders, but the concerns are going to be his rim protection, his shot selection, and physicality, but I think that can grow as he becomes more seasoned. And at the end of the first round, his shooting and guard skills are worth a bet for the Mavericks. Now jumping into the second round with the 31st pick, the New York Knicks select Alex Karaban from UConn, and Knicks fans should know exactly what Karaban brings because after over 150 college games and 3 Final Four runs with UConn, there is not much mystery here. He is a smart, efficient role player who relocates for threes, cuts at the right time, competes defensively, and rarely hurts his team. But the issue is his overall upside because he will be 24 as a rookie, is just an average athlete, and does not create much off the dribble. But for a Knicks team chasing winning players, Karaban fits that mold. Next, with the 32nd pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Jack Cahill from Germany, and Cahill is a strong frame combo guard with real feel, toughness, and defensive upside. He became one of the youngest players to win the German League's Under-22 Player of the Year, joining names like Franz Wagner and Dennis Schroeder as well, which is a pretty encouraging list as you've seen what they've done in the league. He was committed to Gonzaga, but ended up deciding to stay in the draft, which tells you he likely received strong feedback from a team, but overall, the concerns are his shooting consistency and whether he can run a full-time offense, but as a second-round pick and the youth and guard instincts that he has are worth developing, and I think the Grizzlies could select him here. And with the 33rd pick, the Brooklyn Nets select Sergio De La Reyna from Spain, and Brooklyn adds another skilled guard with size and feel here in De La Reyna, as he is a tall playmaker who thrives in team concepts, makes good reads, and has developed into a reliable three-point shooter. However, a dislocated shoulder hurt his earlier draft stock, but it also opened the door for a bigger role and stronger production overseas this past season, and he couldn't attend the Combine because he was still playing in the EuroLeague playoffs, but with his size, shooting, and passing that we've seen, he is a real NBA role player pathway to me. And next with the 34th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Taurus Reed Jr. from UConn, and this would be the second UConn player already selected here in the second round of the draft. And Reed is a throwback center who just does the dirty work. He finishes inside, rebounds, blocks shots, sets screens, and played his best basketball on the biggest stage in sports in March Madness. And statistically, the profile is really interesting as he has a 9.0 block percentage, 13.0 offensive rebound percentage, and a 15.0 assist percentage. But the question is his overall upside because he does not provide much shooting or perimeter defense. But for teams that still value strength, passing, and overall rim protection from his center, Reed deserves real consideration here. And with the 35th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Baba Miller from Cincinnati, and Miller is one of those prospects where the flashes keep teams interested. He is almost 6'11" barefoot, moves well, handles the ball in the open floor, and can pass like a wing because he grew up playing guard before a late growth spurt. Defensively, he can also switch, slide, and cover a lot of ground. The problem is the same as always though, as he cannot shoot consistently, but after testing well at the Combine and scoring 20 points in one of the scrimmages, Miller's size and versatility remains worth betting on, and I think he would be a great fit with the Spurs. With the 36th pick, the Los Angeles Clippers select Zuby Ejiofor from St. John's, and Ejiofor has one of the best developmental arcs in this class. After barely playing at Kansas, he became the Big East Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Tournament MVP, which is absolutely ridiculous. He wins with motor, strength, length, physicality, and defensive versatility, and although his jumper is still a work in progress and he is undersized for a center, his energy, toughness, and ability to impact winning should absolutely get him drafted. And for a Clippers team that just traded Ivica Zubac, Zubi Ejiofor could be a good pick here and come off the bench. Up next with the 37th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Trevin Brazile from Arkansas. And Brazile was once viewed as a first-round prospect before tearing his ACL, and it took time for the explosiveness to fully return. But as a fifth-year senior for the Razorbacks, he finally looked like the player scouts were hoping to see. He has length, vertical pop, defensive switchability, and a jumper that gives him stretch four potential. And at 23, he probably projects more as a role player than a starter, but in the second round, a long athletic forward with shooting upside is a very reasonable bet, and it seems like one the Thunder would take. Next, with the 38th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Ryan Conwell from Louisville, and after adding Caleb Wilson and Cameron Carr already in this mock, Chicago grabs another guard who could be a second-round steal in my opinion. Conwell's path went from South Florida to Indiana State to Xavier and then to Louisville, and he improved every year, and by the end, he was averaging nearly 19 points as Louisville's leading scorer. He is a stocky 6'2" lefty with deep range, real strength, and touch through contact, and the concern is going to be his size and lack of burst, but as an off-ball scoring guard, Conwell can really shoot it, and that's something that almost every team needs. Up next with the 39th pick, the Houston Rockets select Milos Uzan from Houston, and this would be a familiar, sensible pick. Uzan is a high IQ combo guard who helps good teams function. He passes, defends, competes, and played a major role on the Cougars team that won over 30 games. But the question is his overall upside, which is what a lot of these second-round picks struggle with. He did not become the primary shot creator scouts hoped for, and the three-point numbers were definitely disappointing this past season. But still, I think there's enough touch. His float game is really nice, his passing feel, and backcourt versatility to keep believing in the shot. And in the second round, that is worth a gamble. With the 40th pick, the Boston Celtics select Braden Smith from Purdue, and Smith left the college game as the NCAA's all-time assist leaders, which tells you everything about his feel for the game. He is arguably the highest IQ guard in this draft, and he can organize an offense, score off the bounce, and create looks for teammates. But the concern is obvious. He is small, not a plus athlete, and NBA guards are going to try and hunt him defensively. But on a Celtics roster with length around him, those concerns could be easier to hide, and his skill and toughness deserve a chance, and he could be the perfect playmaker to set up Boston Stars. And then with the 41st pick, the Miami Heat select Felix Okpara from Tennessee. And if there is one thing that Okpara knows, it's his role. He protects the rim, runs the floor, finishes lobs, sets hard screens, and does not try to be something that he is not. After transferring from Ohio State to Tennessee, he became the defensive backbone of an Elite 8 team. He had 4 blocks in the round of 32, then posted 12 points and 10 rebounds in the Sweet 16. And at nearly 240 pounds with a 9'4" reach, his physical tools are definitely draftable, and if Miami is not going to trust Kel'el Ware, maybe they'll trust Okpara. Up next with the 42nd pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Dylan Mitchell from St. John's, and Mitchell is one of the best athletes in this draft class, and even by NBA standards. He flies in transition, finishes above the rim, and has the body to potentially play some small ball 4 at the next level. And at the draft combine, he helped himself by showing passing instincts, defensive tools, and a non-stop motor, but his overall skill level is still raw. His shooting, handle, and self-creation are all works in progress for sure, but long, explosive wings with energy and defensive upside like Mitchell usually get drafted, and San Antonio can afford the development swing here. With the 43rd pick, the Brooklyn Nets select Toby Lawal from Virginia Tech, and Lawal is an elite athlete who didn't start playing basketball until later in life, and that background shows in both directions. His overall tools are impressive. He is a 6'7" forward that's strong, explosive, and can make athletic finishes that most players simply cannot, but the skill package is definitely still catching up. He is not a consistent shooter, doesn't offer much off the dribble, but in the second round though, teams are looking for bankable traits, and Lawal's NBA-ready bounce and defensive versatility give him a path at the next level. Next, with the 44th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Meleek Brown from Duke, and Brown is one of the best defensive specialists that we have in this draft. He has the lateral quickness, strength, instincts, and nearly a 7'1" wingspan to guard multiple positions and create chaos on that end of the floor. He led the nation in defensive box plus minus in college, and his hands are elite in passing lanes and pick and roll coverage. Offensively, though, the limitations are real, and that might be an understatement. He is not a shooter and does not create much, but he can pass, finish, screen well, rebounds the ball, and just play overall winning basketball, and every NBA team needs someone willing to do that, so why not the Spurs here at 44? With the 45th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Isaiah Nelson from South Florida, and Nelson is a 6'10" athlete with a 7'3" wingspan who brings lob finishing, rebounding, rim protection, and constant energy on the defensive end. His rise in college has been impressive. After 3 years at Arkansas State, he followed his coach to USF and became the first player in American Conference history to win Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Newcomer of the Year. But he does lack shooting and creation similar to Brown, but he maximizes the tools that he does have, and at this stage of the draft, that specialty role has value. Then with the 46th pick, the Orlando Magic select Jacoby Gillespie from Tennessee, and Gillespie is definitely undersized, but he can flat out shoot the basketball. After starting at Belmont, then Maryland, and then Tennessee, he became a senior guard who could run an offense, fire quick trigger threes, and provide bench scoring at the next level. He shot 38% for his career on NBA range threes, and then dropped 28 points in his first scrimmage at the Combine, and that performance mattered because it helped answer concerns about his size, and although he is probably not a full-time lead guard, he can provide instant offense off the bench, and I truly believe Gillespie has a real role in the NBA. With the 47th pick, the Phoenix Suns select Keyshawn Hall from Auburn, and Hall has played at UNLV, George Mason, UCF, and then at Auburn in his college career, and the one thing he has done everywhere is that he can score. At 6'7" and 225 pounds, he's a strong lefty wing who could hit threes, rebound, overpower smaller defenders, and make plays off the bounce. The concerns, though, are his defense and overall decision-making, and those issues have followed him through multiple programs, but the physical tools and scoring ability are real, and for a Phoenix team needing cheap talent, Hall is a worthwhile second-round swing in my opinion. Up next with the 48th pick, the Dallas Mavericks select Jaden Bradley from Arizona, and Bradley is a steady 6'3" combo guard that has strength, poise, and big game experience. As Arizona's senior leader this past season, he won Big 12 Player of the Year, Big 12 Tournament MVP, and helped lead the Wildcats to their first Final Four appearance since 2001. The question, though, is whether he can be that true lead guard in the NBA, but his improved shooting, connective passing, and gritty defense give him a pathway at the next level. And next to Cooper Flagg, Dallas doesn't need a flashy guard, it just needs a smart and reliable one, and that's Jaden Bradley to a T. Then with the 49th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Richie Saunders from BYU, and Saunders is the kind of player where you know exactly what you are getting. He plays hard, he defends, moves without the ball, hunts open threes, and brings nonstop energy on both ends of the floor. He also has real skill with a quick trigger jumper, a soft floater, and an overall good feel for passing, and that makes him an interesting fit next to Nikola Jokic in two-man actions, but the concern is his age and the injury that he suffered at the end of the season because he is 25 and tore his ACL in February. But as an overall shooting specialist, Saunders still has draft value, and that's something that Denver always needs. With the 50th pick, the Toronto Raptors select Ugonna Onyenso from Virginia, and Toronto needed size, and Onyenso gives them one of the most feared shot blockers in this draft. He has a 7'5" wingspan and posted a 17.4 block percentage, which is absolutely absurd. In the ACC tournament, he had 21 blocks in just 3 games, including 9 against Cameron Boozer, who I have mocked third in this draft, and that kind of rim protection is hard to ignore. The offensive game is still limited, and heavy feet can show up on the perimeter for Onyenso, but in the 50s, elite shot blocking upside is worth a bet. Up next with the 51st pick, the Washington Wizards select Bruce Thornton from Ohio State, and Thornton overall is a tough, strong frame point guard who plays with patience and control. He is not the tallest guard, but his body allows him to hold up defensively against both ones and twos, and on the ball, he is pesky, physical, and he gets under handlers. Offensively, he plays with his head up, he operates well in the pick and roll, and doesn't get rushed. Although he is not a high-volume shooter, he takes efficient shots within the flow, and for Washington, Thornton would add maturity and additional guard depth to their younger core. And then with the 52nd pick, the Los Angeles Clippers select Tyler Nickel from Vanderbilt, and Nickel has one of the most bankable NBA skills, and it's a big one, and that's that he can really shoot it. Vanderbilt used him in movement actions all season long, and with his 6'6" size, his quick release, and high basketball IQ, he brings real off-ball gravity. The question is, what else comes with that shooting though? Can he defend enough? Can he attack closeouts? And can he survive when teams run him off the line? And those are all fair concerns, but movement shooters with good size always get a chance in the NBA, and I think Nickel could stick. Up next with the 53rd pick, the Houston Rockets select Otega Oweh from Kentucky, and Oweh is a strong 6'4" wing who became one of the best slashing guards in all of college basketball with the Wildcats, but his signature moment came this past season in March Madness when he dropped 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists against Santa Clara, including the buzzer beater to force overtime in a game when Kentucky eventually went on to win. The problem though is his projection at the next level. He is not a primary creator, and both the handle and jumper remain inconsistent at times, but as a cutter, connective passer, an attacker in transition, and a versatile defender, Oweh has enough role player tools to earn second round interest. Up next with the 54th pick, the Golden State Warriors select Emmanuel Sharp from Houston, and Sharp gives Golden State a very clear skill, and that's his shooting. He made over 300 threes in his career in college and looked just as dangerous during combine scrimmages as he did throughout his college career. He is a hard-nosed combo guard with a strong frame, real toughness, and the ability to pressure opposing ball handlers. The concern though is his size because he lacks the ideal height for an NBA shooting guard, but if you can shoot it at his level and compete defensively, you're going to get a look, and shooting is always a skill that the Warriors are looking for. With the 55th pick, the New York Knicks select Tyler Bilodeau from UCLA, and Bilodeau is one of the more efficient stretch fours that we had in college basketball this past season, and that gives him a clear path at the next level. He is 6'7", skilled, tough, and comfortable spacing the floor. He can hit open threes, score with touch, and battle inside when needed, but no one should confuse him for a creator at the next level. He doesn't take many shots off the dribble. He is not a major playmaker by any means, and defense is his biggest question mark, but still, forwards with his size that can shoot are always worth monitoring, and I think it's something that the Knicks could value. With the 56th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Bryce Hopkins from St. John's, and Hopkins is a rugged combo forward with strength, rebounding, passing feel, and downhill scoring ability. He has always had the physical profile at the next level, but the key development was his jumper, and during his senior season with the Johnnies and throughout the pre-draft process, he showed real improvement with the three, hitting a career best 36%, and that matters because it gives him a more believable NBA role. He can defend multiple positions, mix it up on the inside, and make smart reads, and if the shooting holds, Hopkins could become a useful rotation forward. With the 57th pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Aaron Nkrumah from Tennessee State, and Nkrumah has one of the most unlikely paths in this draft. He started at Division III Nichols College, transferred to Division III Worcester State, then jumped to Tennessee State this past season and became Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year. At 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, he has the length, motor, defensive playmaking, and developing jumper teams want, and he was passed over for Portsmouth, earned a late G League Combine invite, then played his way into the NBA Draft Combine, and nothing has stopped him yet, and I think Nkrumah is going to get picked in this year's second round. With the 58th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Nick Martinelli from Northwestern, and Martinelli is not the smoothest athlete by any means, but he just knows how to score the basketball. He was a top 10 scorer nationally with Northwestern, shot 41.5% from three, and produced well during NBA Combine scrimmages. His game, though, is unorthodox as he loves the mid-range, plays physical in the lane, and finds ways to put the ball in the basket even when it does not look always pretty. The swing skill is continued three-point development, though, and finishing with both hands, but his scoring feel is good enough to take seriously, and he could end up here with the Pelicans. Up next with the 59th pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Kylan Boswell from Illinois, and Boswell is a strong 6'2" guard who can play both on or off the ball. After 2 years at Arizona, he transferred to Illinois and brought steady decision-making, leadership, and physical guard play. He is not the most explosive or twitchy athlete, but his strength helps him on both ends of the floor. The shooting still needs to become more reliable, but he shot 61% inside the arc and graded well as a pick-and-roll ball handler for college. And for Minnesota, Boswell would add additional guard depth and overall upside. And with the 60th and final pick in this 2026 NBA mock draft, the Washington Wizards select Trey Kaufman-Renn from Purdue. And Kaufman-Renn is not the type of prospect that makes fans jump out of their seats by any means, but he is exactly the type of player who can help a winning team. He is strong, smart, fundamentally sound, and has a great feel for the game. He can score efficiently inside, step out for open threes, screen, pass from the short roll, and make overall good decisions. However, he is not quick or explosive, but he just knows how to play, and at this point in the draft with the last pick, that matters. But that wraps it up for this one. Let me know your thoughts on my first official full 2-round 2026 NBA mock draft in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.